And also, before I post this video of Saindons Market, the owner of Saindons was also interviewed, and he mentioned that the original Saindons used to be down the hill before the urban renewal project, and I believe this was the location. I did find one picture of this area before it got destroyed, and as you can see, it was once home to a lot of small businesses, which are obviously long gone. But right now I'm going to post a video, and like I said, don't be afraid to scroll through it because it's fairly long. And at the end of the video, the interviewer does go outside so you can see the old west side. So I hope you enjoy this. And this here is my destination for the day. This was once the location of Saindons Market, which was a small grocery store. This store had a full-time butcher, they had meat, they had all your daily needs here. It wasn't like your typical corner store that you find today. There was always people in and out of here, so there was always friendly conversation going on. It was a very busy store. And when I watched this video, I recognized all the workers that used to work here. I'm assuming they're all passed away by now. But the store was also famous for their pork pies and their gratin spread. If you're not familiar with gratin is, it's a Canadian recipe. It's pretty much ground up pork with spices that you spread on toast or make sandwiches with, but it was absolutely delicious. And they made the best gratin here. But the reason I'm very familiar with this area is because I lived about a quarter mile that way on Cartier Street, and my grandparents and my parents would often send me here to do errands, to grab things at the store and whatnot. So I've been here at least 100 times in my life. And I also recall, my dog's getting me tangled up here, but I also recall there was once an old, I would say 1950s box truck that was here, like a big box van. And it was plugged into the wall, and it had a freezer in the back, so they were using it as a freezer. I'm surprised I actually remember that, but yeah, there was an old truck that used to sit right here. And this footage I'm showing you it was amazing that I found it, because there's nothing that exists in this area, of the store rather. The video is about 2 hours long, so don't feel bad if you have to scroll through it.
What's, you see these things. How many primaries have you been through?
Oh, quite a few. Since I've been 21. But not every year I've voted, though. But some years I've went to the primaries and voted Democrat or Republican, whatever the man was running for, But
have parties meant much to you? Do you belong to a party?
I belong to the Democratic Party, yeah. But I voted Republican some years. I vote for the man, not strictly for one man or for the Democratic Party, but I usually go for the man that's running, But right now, there's been so many candidates running for Democratic Party, I'm confused. I says, can't seem to make up my mind who to vote for. There's so many, involved, and they got different issues and different things, and I feel that if I was going to vote Democrat, I would probably vote for Mondale. I think he's got a better chance of getting president with Reagan. But I feel that Reagan should be in another 4 years. Try to get out of this mess that we're in. It's, maybe, 4 years wasn't enough for him to get things going, and maybe another 4 years. Then if he can get us out, then, we'd be better off. But if he can't get us out of the deficit we're in and all this stuff, then we could vote for somebody else, whoever comes in.
Talk about you said 8 candidates, you're confused. What makes an impression on you? How have you decided that you would vote for Mondale if you were choosing a candidate on the Democratic side? What do you think of the others, and how do you find out what you think?
Well, I think Mondale is mostly experience, because he used to be a vice president, and I think he's a better candidate than the others. The others like Cranston or Glenn and all them, their experience is not so much as Mondale. You know, Mondale's been in the White House and he knows what's wrong with the country, and so I would think that Mondale would have a good chance of running against Reagan.
Have you seen enough of the candidates yet? Are you ready to make your mind up?
Well, I've seen enough, yes, yeah. But I think I'm going to go along with Reagan. I think I'm going to vote for Reagan and give him another 4 years, see if we can straighten out the country.
Let me ask you, I'll name a couple of candidates that you didn't mention and just give me your reaction to them. George McGovern.
McGovern, yeah, he could, you know, he's been in politics quite a long years, yeah. McGovern would be good, I think, and
How about Gary Hart?
Hart, yeah, that's another one that probably, but the others, I don't see what experience they have, you know, like Glenn and Jackson. Jackson, well, they go for the colored people, you know. But to me, it's too much of a big race, you know. There's too many involved. It's going to confuse the people. The people will be all confused who to vote for, and you know.
Did you watch any of the debates?
I watched some of them, yeah.
Did that help you?
Not that much, no. There was a write-up in the paper. They had a debate at St. Anselm, and there was, you know, with Barbara Walters and all that. But to me, there was much of anything, you know. Just, you know, no mudslinging against each other, or, you know, just straight talk, you know.
We spent a lot of time here this week, and one of the things we've done is get to know the Manchester Union leader and some of your representatives, both on the state level and the U.S. Senator and governor and people like that. Yeah. What influences you? Do you read the Union leader, for instance, and does that influence how you think?
Well, it's the only paper we have in town, you know, that covers New Hampshire, and it's a good paper. It's a good newspaper, and they cover, you know, all the issues and the candidates and whatever's going on in politics, and you know, it keeps you up to date on what's going on, you know, against the candidates and all that.
Do you read it every day?
Oh yes, yeah.
Do you think that? Well, let me ask you this: are you going to vote in the Democratic primary on Tuesday?
Yes, I think so. Yeah, it's my day off, so I think we'll go, yeah.
And you say you will vote for Mr. Mondale?
Well, I have to. The primary is you have to vote for your party, you know.
What do you think of the write-in campaign for the President Reagan?
It's good. It's very good, yeah.
Would you think of writing his name in it, possibly?
I probably would, yeah. But primaries, you know, you have to go, you vote, but the main election, I think I'm going to vote for Reagan, yeah.
Where are you from originally?
I'm from Manchester here. I was born in Manchester, yeah.
This area in here has a lot of, what type of backgrounds do people live here, right where this market is? Where are they from?
Oh, mostly from Canada. A lot of Canadian people, yeah. 3/4 of the west side is Canadian. Yeah, your Ward 12 and Ward 11, mostly Canadians. They come from Canada and they buy homes and work in the mills or the shops around here, whatever. But it's mostly Canadian, mostly French Canadian.
One of the things we notice is that there are cameras everywhere. 1,000 media people in this town. It's not that big a town. We've obviously invaded your market this morning with some good hospitality from you all, but we've heard a lot of comments, and we're going to talk to a lot of your customers this morning about being tired of it all. Are you tired of all this, and do you want us to all go away, and what do you think of...
No, this is good. Yeah.
What's good about it?
Well, you interview people, and, you know, it's gives the people a sense of what they're going to do, how they're going to vote, maybe, or, you know. But it's good publicity, you know. It's the biggest thing that ever happened to this store here, I guess, you know, having TV cameras and all that, and... But I hope we get busy enough so we can interview some people and, you know, get their opinion and different things.
It's a Saturday. It's overcast outside.
Yeah, our busiest day. Yeah, Saturday's our busiest day.
Hope we don't scare them away today.
No. No, they should be in, though. They'll come in, yeah. You might get a few in outside, you know. Yeah.
We are at, for those of our viewers that just joined us, and we're going to be here for a while, at the Saindons Market in Manchester, New Hampshire, and this market is located on the corner of Dubuque and Putnam Street, right?
Right.
And I'm sure that you've seen the view from our headquarters is at the Amoskeag Bank building in downtown Manchester, and you can see from the top of the building right over here. We're not that far away from the center of the city. Is this a working class area? Is this a blue collar area, or
yes,
in this whole?
Yeah. Oh yes. Yeah. Yeah. It's always been the blue collar class over here. Years ago, when they had the mills, this used to be a mill town. Years ago, Amoskeag Mills used to be in here, and everybody used to work in mills. But it's mostly working class people we have here. Yeah.
Okay, you watch people come through here and buy meat, and you cut meat every day.
Yeah.
What do they do? Are they buying more meat this year than they were last year?
No, about the same. About the same. But they're eating a lot of fast food, I think. A lot of fast meals, you know. You're not selling a big amount of meats like we used to years ago, and the families are much smaller. And I think a lot of people are living, you know, really on basic meats, you know, like cold meats and stuff, and hamburgers and fast food meals, you know. But years ago, we used to sell big roasts, and, you know, the meat business used to be much better years ago. But with all these fast food restaurants, you know, people get to eat less meat, so they buy less meat and they faster.
Conrad Spinard will be back to talk some more as the morning goes on, but Susan Swain is standing by with someone else.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Check on the counter. Can I ask your name, please?
Joe LaRose.
Joe, it's almost time for the primary election, and there's all seems to be from the outside, all this fuss going on around town. Does it affect your life? Do you?
No, it doesn't affect my life.
Are you involved in the primary elections at all?
Like what?
Are you keeping abreast of all the candidates and knowing?
Not really.
Have you voted in most of the past elections?
Yeah.
Normally Republican or Democrat?
Just the way I feel.
How do you feel about this one?
I feel Reagan's going to take everything.
So are you going to vote next Tuesday?
Definitely.
Republican ballot or Democrat? You don't know yet.
Well, I don't know.
How about some of the Democratic candidates? We've got 8 of them around now. Any of them stand out?
No.
What do you think of Mr. Mondale, for example?
I don't know. I don't think you'd want me to tell you.
Sure.
Because, you know, everyone, you know, they promise everything, but, you know, things just don't work out that way.
Is that traditionally the case with politicians or just lately?
No, it's always that case.
Tell us a little bit about this area of town that we're in. Have you lived here a long time?
Yes, I have. I've been around here for about 24 years. And the west side I like.
What is the west side?
What is the west side?
Yeah, what is it? Are there certain kind of people that live here? Is there a certain industry that people work in around here?
Not really. It's just I like the west side better in the city.
What about it? Nicer people?
Well, people are nice. People are all nice, really, if they want to be. But it's just the way that I feel.
Mm-hmm. You've got 5 children you're telling me just
Yes,
before.
I have.
And they all go to West High?
Yes. Well, no, not all of them. They all went to West High. I mean, the ones that are going.
You have some kids that are old enough to vote now?
I have one that's in the Air Force. And Greg, he lives on Healy Street. He's old enough to vote.
They ever talk about politics with you?
Sometimes we debate ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
What's the feel amongst your sons now about the candidates?
Well, I know that my oldest boy, he likes Reagan.
Why?
Of course I do. Well, he's done something for the country already.
Mm-hmm. So you're going to give him another vote again in
Oh,
November?
definitely.
Okay.
Definitely.
How about your wife? Last question for you.
My wife feels the same way.
She does?
Right. Reagan has done something. That's the way we're going.
Okay. How often do you shop in Saindons?
How often I stop or shop?
Shop in Saindons.
Well, I get my meats here, which is one of the best places to get it.
You seem to know all the people that work here. Is that pretty common? Everyone in the neighborhood knows all the Saindons and
Definitely. Definitely.
kind of a real family atmosphere.
Well, let's put it this way. He's also kind-hearted. He doesn't look at what he is.
Thanks for spending some time with us.
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate it.
You know, one of the things when you invade someone's living and working space, it has a tendency to change things. So I want to, first of all, thank you very much for letting us come in here. And we're going to talk, I hope, before the morning's over, to the owner of this place and his brother. They're shy, they say. But, what is it, and one of the things we noticed when we came by here yesterday, that you have a special dish that you do it here yourself? You make it here?
Yes, we make it ourselves here. Yeah. The father started years ago when you had the big market down below. We make our own pork pies and we make our salmon pie and garton. It's a pork spread. It's a French name for pork spread, which is called garton. And we sell quite a bit over here. We go through about 100 pounds a week.
You're kidding. Let's see what it looks like.
It's a 1 pound container, and it's strictly pork. There's no filler or no potatoes, just pork and spices. And it sells for $2.09 a pound. It's very, very, very good. People come out of their way to buy this. We had a guy from Berlin used to come in and buy 10, 15 of these, and pork pies in the winter. When we have our pork pies for the holidays, and it's very, very good. The father, Mr. Henry Saindons, started this years ago, and it stayed the formula, and we've been making it ever since.
Talking about politics earlier, go back to meat. Prices of meat up or down what they were?
Up right now. The prices are up right now, yeah. But this is our slow season right now. January and February is our two slowest months. And business has been slow, but we make up, we pay our bills and give a little extra. And I do freezer buy. We do freezer buy like a hind quarter of side of beef, which helps us during these months where business is slow. And all in all, for a small store, I think we're doing all right. The bosses seem to be happy, with what we're doing.
Be back in a minute.
Yeah.
Let's go to Susan Swain, who is getting someone ready up in the front of the store. Susan?
Can you tell us your name, sir?
My name is Horace Gagnon. I live on 217 Dubuque Street, Manchester, New Hampshire.
And you saw this in the paper that we were going to be here.
Yeah, we see that in the paper, and so I thought I'll come over and tell my story.
Okay.
Okay. I want to talk about the government. It's those that we send to Washington are the big spenders. They are there about half of the time, and the rest of the time they go around on trip all around the world, spending our tax money. Now, the farmers are paid for not producing. We sell grain to Russia at low price. Their bread costs less than ours. If price of milk was low, we'd be able to feed our children like we're supposed to. Now we buy from across again shoes, which is 66%, which was in the paper yesterday. We buy car, and what else? That's it.
Do you vote?
Yes, I'm a Democrat.
Who did you vote for in the last election?
The last one, Reagan.
How's he doing?
Well, I like him in one way, but sometimes not all the time.
What in particular don't you like, and what do you like?
Well, I don't know. He's not looking for the country in full. I don't know. They say he's looking for the rich. Maybe he is. But so far, I cannot find nobody in the Democrat Party that will be good enough to be better than him.
So you think you're going to vote for Reagan again this
So
time?
over here we had machines, voting machine, and they say we can vote as the president written. So that's what I'm going to do.
You're going to write in?
Write in, yeah.
Okay. Thank you for coming over. Appreciate your time.
This area originally?
Yes, but I'm come from France.
When?
No, World War II. I married a GI, World War II. He died 6 years ago.
So you're a citizen?
Oh, no, I'm not a citizen.
Oh.
No, I'm not.
What do you think of our political system? You watched all this going on.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes, I know a lot. Well, I can't tell really.
If you were voting, who would you vote for?
Mandel.
Why?
Well, I think he's good. He was vice president before, and I like this ideal.
You pay much attention to politics?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Do people in this area pay much attention?
I don't know. I don't know about the people around.
Do you live around in this?
Yes, yes.
And how long have you lived right here in Manchester?
Oh, my God. 37 years.
What about this year versus other primary, the primaries you remember? Is this are they active? People interested, or?
Yes, and it's pretty mixed up too, because we have a lot of representative, you know, for Democrat and everything.
Have you met any of the presidential candidates?
No.
What is it that? What kind of information is it that makes you say that you're going to be for Mr. Mondale's, or something that?
Well, first, all my relative is Democrat anyway, and that's what I believe anyway, for the working people. And
what's the difference between being a Democrat and being a Republican?
well, I really don't know, because we're working people. I really don't know.
What do you do for a living?
For now, I'm not working. I'm just retired.
You're retired?
Yeah.
When you did work, what'd you do?
Shoe shop. I was working in a shoe shop, yeah.
Why is it, do you think, that the working people are for Democrats?
Well, I think it's more, I don't know.
Okay, let's go back to Susan. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Can I ask your name, sir? Your name?
Albert Ogie,
And do you live in Manchester?
Goffstown, New Hampshire,
Goffstown, which is right up the road from here.
right across the river.
Which party do you belong to?
Republican?
Have you always voted Republican?
No.
When didn't you?
Well, there's a little story to that. I was gone out of Manchester for 27 years. When I came back in 1968, of course, I hadn't voted all that time. And then the first thing I did is register, and accidentally, they registered me as a Democrat. But last year in Goffstown, I registered a Republican.
There's a lot of Democrats in town right now. Have you been listening to what they have to say?
Well, when it comes to the local politics, of course, there's a lot of Democrats, I know that.
No, but I mean all the presidential candidates, the men that are the one to run in the presidential race, John Glenn and Walter Mondale and Jesse Jackson and the others. Have you been listening to what they've been saying around town?
Yes, yes.
What's your reaction to any of them?
Well, they seem to condemn Mr. Reagan. And I don't go for that.
You don't go for that? What do you like about Mr. Reagan's job so far?
Well, the economy is getting better.
Do you live on a fixed income?
Yes. I was employed with civil service for 27 years, and I'm retired.
What part of the civil service did you work for?
Well, I worked in shipyard, Puget Sound.
Is it pretty easy living on your social or civil service retirement around here?
Well, if it wasn't for the inflation, it would be nice.
Okay.
It would be better.
So you hope that inflation stays down? Okay.
Yep.
Thank you for spending some time with us.
You want me to talk some more?
Well, if you have anything else you want to say about Mr. Reagan or about the candidates, sure.
Well, during Mr. Carter's time, he named a man by the name of Kahn that was do away with inflation.
Mm-hmm.
He never got to first base.
Why is that?
Well, the way things have been going, the economy.
So this administration is doing a better job in your eyes?
Mr. Reagan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Albert, thank you for your time. Appreciate you stopping by.
One of the things we notice is that all over this market there are little signs, like you don't have to be crazy to work here, but it helps. That's a sign I know I've seen before. And we, what's the other one, Conrad?
That's a working schedule here. That's my working schedule. Out of 43 hours, I probably work about half an hour. Yeah. Then we got this one here, backed by popular demand. That's when I go out sick and all that stuff, you know.
One of the things we want to tell our audience for sure is that we don't feel that this particular market or this particular area of the town is demographically representative of anything. This is business establishment that agreed to allow us to come and visit with their customers and talk about politics and find out a little bit more about how the people feel rather than how the politicians or the media feel. And this gentleman also is employed by this market. Ray, pronounce your last name for me?
Grenier, just like Grenier Field. If you ever heard of Grenier Field, same thing, same thing.
Is that a French name?
Yes, basically it is, yes.
If you were in France, how would you pronounce it?
Grenier.
And in this area, people talk French?
Very much so. A lot of French-oriented people, a lot of people from Canada have moved into the area in recent years, and a lot of heavy French-speaking people. Some of them don't even speak English. There are a few that don't speak English at all. They get a few words in, and eventually they'll get squared away. The kids are going to school, and they're learning the language, the English language, and they don't even speak French. The French-speaking kids don't speak French anymore, they speak English. But it's a nice area to work in, and we're comfortable here.
Yesterday, when we came by here, you took one look at me and said, "Politicians?" And then there was an expression on your face that said, "Get out." I mean, it wasn't that strong. I don't mean to be in. Are you tired of it? The whole business?
No, not really. When I saw you come in, I figured you were either salespeople or politicians. That's the first impression that I got. And you came out back, so I figured you were politicians, because if it had been salespeople, they would have gone out front to look for the boss.
What do you think of politicians in general? Now, what would you say, if you're sitting around your living room talking to your buddies, or your wife, or your family, what do you say about politicians?
What can you say? Politicians are people. They choose to be politicians because they want to.
You trust them?
Sure I do. I'll trust anybody until somebody proves to me that they shouldn't be trusted. You hear that all the time. Politicians are this, politicians are that. I don't believe that. Politicians are people, and as such, they have their own lives to live. As in all areas of life, some politicians won't be straight, and basically, I think they are.
What about this year, this election? Are you going to vote in the primary?
Yes, I will. Definitely vote.
Democratic or Republican?
I am a Democrat, so I will be voting Democratic in the primary, naturally. My first choice in the elections is Reagan. Although I am a Democrat, I voted for him the last time, and I would probably vote for him again. But I will make a selection in the Democratic side in a primary. I'm not quite sure yet, but I seem to favor Mondale at this time.
Talk about the candidates and why you favor anyone. What kind of things have made an impression on you over this last year? And you've had these candidates in the state for how long? Can you remember back when the first one hit the city?
No, it's quite a while, but I think there probably was somebody here as far as a year ago, probably trying to map their strategies or whatever, but I don't remember exactly how long ago. It could be as much as a year ago.
Let's try this. I'll mention one of the candidates, and then you just tell me what you remember about them and why you remember it. Like, let's try Alan Cranston. What comes to mind when you hear the name Alan Cranston?
Basically, not much on any of the candidates. Mondale was involved more heavily in the political role before, and I guess his name is probably comes to mind quicker. John Glenn was an astronaut and a senator. All of these people, of course, were senators or whatever. Some of them we've really never heard of very much. So you look at a group of 8 people, and there's 2 or 3 that you've heard of in the past. The others basically are unknowns to most of us, I think, until they start, talking, running for the presidency.
What do you think of when I mentioned Gary Hart?
The same thing, you know. To me, I've never known
Did you learn anything
that much about him, and it doesn't, you know, it really doesn't tell me anything. Yeah, it really doesn't tell me anything. Actually, you know, none of the candidates, you look at them, and there's so many of them. Whenever you get to a group of 8 candidates, and you start thinking about they're debating, and the debates, I suppose what you get out of the debate is how the people present themselves and how to answer the questions, and it's very difficult for somebody to just pick one and say, you know, this is my reasoning, this is the reason I want this man or that man. It's very difficult for me anyhow.
I think you mentioned yesterday that Senator Glenn had been here at this market?
Yes, about a month ago, 5 weeks ago, yeah.
And what was the purpose in coming here?
I guess it was a political situation. He came with a busload of reporters and camera people, and we knew several days ahead that he would be here at that time. I guess it was a matter of him coming in a particular area in Manchester and seeing people and saying hi, shaking their hands, and so on.
Did it make any impression on you?
Nothing special. You know, I don't think any of them would have made any special impression.
So what you're really saying is that during this entire campaign, nothing really has changed for you. Did you start being sympathetic to Mr. Mondale and stay there during the whole year?
No, I wasn't sympathetic to Mondale when it started. There was so many candidates. The only thing that I have in mind, frankly, is Mr. Reagan, and he is the one that I will support in the general election. In the primaries, at this time, I think I would go with Mondale. If I have a choice between the two, it would be Reagan. But
okay.
I will vote for someone that I think would be a good running experience.
Thanks, Ray. We'll be back, I'm sure, before the morning's over. Let's go back to Susan.
Thank you.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
I mean, you know...
Snag somebody up at the counter here. May I ask your name?
Hector Terrio.
Hector Terrio, and they call you Terry for short.
That's correct.
You said that you were retired. What are you retired from?
I'm retired from GTE, Sylvania.
You worked in this area all your life?
23 years up in New Hampshire.
You were joking before we started if whether or not you look like a typical New Hampshireite.
Right.
Is there a typical New Hampshireite?
Oh, there's still some natives, I suppose. No, most of them are imported like me.
Where are you imported from?
Salem, Massachusetts.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And do you like this area pretty well?
Never go back.
Why? What do you like about it?
I like the country living, style, pace, famous.
What do you think about all this fuss every 4 years?
It's getting bigger and bigger, and I suppose it has to be done, and somehow it helps with taxes.
Do you pay much attention when all the folks come in?
Generally, yes. I really do, yeah.
How about your political party?
Independent.
You're an independent? Wow. What about this year, then?
This year, it's a toss-up. I haven't really made up my mind, but somewhat favoring the Democratic Party.
Any of the candidates in particular?
Either Glenn or Hart.
What appeals?
Nothing hot. I think they're both genuine, up front. Basically honest,
So you plan...
They don't motivate people as much as probably Mondale, but they're good people.
You plan to go to the election polling booth next week on Tuesday?
Oh, yes.
If you're an independent, does you have to do anything special to be able to vote?
I can draw either, most likely Democratic.
Okay. Thanks for spending some time with us, Terry.
Thank you very much. My pleasure.
Andy Myers just dropped by here in the Saindons Market in Manchester, and we find out that he's in our business, which is not unusual for people in our business to talk to other people in our business. Do you live in this area, Andy?
Yeah, I live about 2 blocks from here.
And what station do you work for?
Channel 9. It's WMUR. It's the ABC affiliate for Manchester.
And what do you do for them?
I'm a reporter, just like yourself.
Talk about the other media coming to town. You see it. I don't know if is this your first primary?
No, this is my third New Hampshire primary, as a matter of fact. Back in 1976, I kept Jimmy Carter waiting for 20 minutes because he didn't have an appointment. And he came unannounced to my station and said, I want to do an interview. And I said, well, I'm sorry, I'm busy, Mr. Carter. And I made him wait because I was working on a deadline. So no, this is my third primary.
Was that experience before he was well known?
Yeah, back then he was Jimmy Who. And I guess here in New Hampshire we made him into the viable candidate. Who knows if that's going to happen this time.
What did you think of him first time you met him?
What was my impression of him? I thought he was disorganized because here I was, a working reporter. I was working on a deadline, and the guy shows up in my office. I want to be interviewed. And that, to me, didn't seem to be the way to manage a campaign. I wasn't overly impressed with his organization.
Did you eventually interview him, and did you put it on the air?
Oh, yeah, of course. At that point, I was working at a radio station in Keene, which is a small city over in the southwestern corner of the state. Of course, I interviewed him, and yes, we did put it on the air.
You think this is a good place to start this? I mean, we had Iowa last week, and it was a whole different system of the caucuses, and now here it's a primary. Do you find this kind of, I don't know, what stage that everybody uses in New Hampshire to be a good reflection of what the whole country's all about?
Personally or professionally? Professionally, I have to say, because it would be heresy to say otherwise, professionally I have to say that New Hampshire is a good place to have it because it's relatively representative of the rest of the country. We have high-tech, we have rural people, we have suburban people, we have cities. I mean, a lot of the media come to New Hampshire and show New Hampshire as a bunch of backwater hicks, and yet you do find that we do have a large population of city people, too. Personally, I don't know if it's such a great place because the myth is that here in New Hampshire, the candidates come around and meet head-to-head with the people in New Hampshire. That's really a myth as far as I'm concerned. Our pollster found that only about 10% of the people in New Hampshire actually see more than one candidate. It's really a media event. You guys come up here from Washington. I mean, you're not here to buy your cat litter like I am. The national people come here. And the candidates at this point are playing to the media much as they would if we had a regional primary. So, personally, I don't think it's a great idea.
I got the tough question for you. What do you think? What do you think of the media? I mean, you see the national media. You see how they act when they come to town. What's your basic impression of them?
I think this time they're doing a very good job. Last time, one of my critiques was that they did show New Hampshire as a hick state. I'm not from here. I grew up in Pennsylvania. Spent a lot of time in Philadelphia and New York and Washington. And I thought that the national media wrongly portrayed New Hampshire as a backwater hick, which it's not. It's growing. This time, I think that they're attuned to that. They've been reading the polls. They read the census data. And I think generally they're doing a good job.
All right, we spent a lot of time yesterday at the Manchester Union Leader, the day in the life of the paper. From television perspective, what do you think of the paper? In other words, as someone who works in the television industry, you like it?
No.
Why?
It's biased.
How biased?
Front page editorials. People don't remember a few years ago when William Loeb was still alive. On the front page, that newspaper had the audacity to call Henry Kissinger the kike. Whether you like the man or not, you don't go after him that way. A front page paper, on the front page of the paper, you should not be, showing editorials that really have no basis in fact and are just diatribes like that. I think it's very biased and a disservice to the people here in the state that people like you come here and read the Union Leader and think that that's what we're like.
Okay, we picked this market. No particular reason other than they were willing to let us come in. Is this as good a place as any for us to get the views of people who will be voting in the primary? In other words, explain this area from your living experience.
Yeah, sure. I don't know why not.
Okay. Andy, thank you. I don't want to keep you. I know you got the
good luck.
The cat food, and away you go. Okay, thank you.
And stop reading the Union Leader and maybe watch the TV.
Okay, Andy, thanks very much. I don't know whether Susan has anybody or not. Does she have somebody? Okay, let's go back to Susan.
How are you today, sir?
Fine, thank you.
Tell us your name.
Maurice DeRocher.
Are you originally from this area?
Yes, I was born and brought up in this area.
Have you thought about who you'd like to see as president next time around?
Well, I believe it'll be Mr. Reagan. And there are too many Democratic candidates to really make a choice.
Mm-hmm. Do you think there are any differences between them?
Yes, they definitely are. I believe that the Democrats just want Reagan out, and the reason for that is they're using the BX missile, and they're using, defense budget is out of sight. There's no question of this. And I think this is what the whole issue is all about. It's personality, I think, between Mr. Reagan and Mr. Mondale. But the defense budget deficit is out of sight. $118 billion, I understand. Who's paying for it?
What do you think the president ought to do about it?
It's difficult to say. We need defense, and taxes are, well, the little people are paying a lot of taxes, and the tax credits on big companies, big business, is way low. I think they should pay their share of taxes.
Do you talk politics with your friends?
Occasionally, but politics, like religion, sometimes shouldn't be talked about.
You seem very well informed. Where do you get all your information?
Well, I read, watch TV. I'm not informed as I probably should be, but I read and watch TV, and I have to make up my own mind about these things. But this is what it's really all about. I think that the deficit and the big defense budget is making little people to go into the store, and stores like this all over the country pay a lot of taxes. We don't make that kind of money that we have to support the big business taxes. This is what my opinion is.
Are you a Democrat, Republican, or independent?
I've always voted Democrat, but I tend to be independent. I vote for the man and the issues more so than I do for the, you know, the party, so to speak.
What's important in a candidate to you?
Honesty. If we can find an honest man, and I'm sure they're all trying to be honest, or are honest, I think honesty is what it's all about. Give us a campaign promise and keep it. And I think this is what it's really all about.
Who's your favorite politician right now?
I would have to say I'm going for Reagan, because there's nothing other than Reagan right now. Democratic Party got 8 or 9 candidates, in fact 8 candidates right here in the city, probably right now. And that's too many for people to choose from. They just get all mixed up, and they don't have a proper platform, I should say. And this is what I think it's all about. I think the Democratic Party is going to get together and pick one man, one strong, solid man, and they'll get it going for them.
Who do you think that's going to be?
In this election, no one. No. In 1988, it might be a little different. But right now, I don't believe they have this one person to do it.
Do you think we'll see a woman on the ballot in 1988?
I wouldn't mind seeing a woman if she can do the job. I wouldn't mind seeing Jesse Jackson if he can do the job. It's not important the gender or the color. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, get the right person in there, and this is what you need.
Are there a lot of women in state politics around here?
A few, yes, a few. I'm not too familiar with them, but there are a few, yes.
Do you find yourself voting in at every election that comes along, or do you vote just the big presidential elections?
Mostly the big presidential elections, primaries and the presidential elections, and the general elections, of course. Yeah.
How about people around here? What do they generally do?
I'm sorry?
People around here, your neighbors, what do they generally do?
Probably like me. I can't speak for all of them, of course, but I feel that they're probably just like I am. You know, they just vote for general elections. What they read most of, you know. I think, like the young people around here, if Larry Bird was running for president, he'd win.
Should people vote more, do you think?
I think so. They should be a little more interested, get into politics for the simple reason they're paying taxes. They're being represented by these people, and I think they should have a little more going for them by voting for these people. Mm-hmm. Local, state, and federal. Mm-hmm.
What do you think about all this hoopla, the media coming in every 4 years and setting up and doing these types of things?
Oh, well, if all this money that is being spent on these campaigns would be put in productivity, probably we'd all be better off.
What would you like to see more of in a campaign?
Less disagreement between the people concerned, like the Democratic Party, for instance. You've got 8 different candidates, and you've got 8 different ideas. Put them all together and get it done, and then we'd find out what's happening. My opinion only, of course, but that's the way I feel.
That's all about. Thanks for stopping by this afternoon. Have a good day. Now we go back to Brian.
This sign was tacked onto the back of the meat counter with the headline, "You can tell it's going to be a rotten day when," and some of these are extraordinary. you can read for yourself. The one I want to ask Conrad Spinard about is the fourth one down, which says, you see a 60 Minutes news team waiting in your office. Conrad, 60 Minutes is, if not the leading television program, one of the top programs every week. Do you ever watch it?
Once in a while, yeah.
What do you think of it?
It's good. It's informal, and it's a different, it's a different aspects of different things they show on. Yeah, I like it very much, yeah.
What do you think of the news media in general overall? Do you trust them?
Yes, yeah. They're pretty fair. They're pretty true about what they're saying, and with Cronkite, yeah.
Did you liked Walter Cronkite when he was on CBS?
Yeah, I think Dan Rather's doing a good job right now too. We're replacing him, but Cronkite's been in for so many years that he did a good job with CBS. Yeah, I think so.
By the way, for our viewers who have just joined us and wonder what in the world we're doing today, I want to point out a couple things. We're visiting the Saindons Market in, what's the actual area of Manchester we're in?
That's the west side Manchester, yeah.
And this is not scientific. This is not a heavily produced program, as you can see. It's spontaneous. We don't have people other than Conrad and others who work here ready to talk to us. And it's just an attempt at trying to get a natural reaction from people, which is almost impossible when you have a television camera poking in their face. But get a natural reaction of how they feel about all this in New Hampshire and take our time about it. We have time today to do that, and give you a little better flavor. So don't get upset or expect anything more than you're getting. This is strictly a spontaneous exercise, and we get what you see as it comes through the door. I don't mean that coldly, but people who, there's nobody, this is a Saturday afternoon, it's normally busy at this point, and how busy does this market get?
Well, right now, it being the last of the month, is a little slow, but usually Saturdays are our biggest day here. But I can understand why, people are not coming in.
Maybe they see these cameras here and they say, that's one reason I don't want to go.
Yeah, that's probably it, yeah. But usually our Saturday's the biggest day for business, for meets and everything.
Well, for those who live in Manchester, we'll be out of here about 1 o'clock, so you can, if you're afraid to come by the cameras. Last night we mentioned it on the air, and Joe McQuaid, who's the editor of the Union Leader, suggested that by announcing it, we'd have all the campaign workers in here. So far, we have not had that. Why did you become a meat cutter?
Well, I started years ago. I used to deliver in a small store, and I used to deliver orders in a small store, and I was about 12 years old then. And I sort of liked it. It was my first job. And then I went, when I went in the service, when I was 17, I went in the Navy for 4 years, and I became a truck driver when I came out. I drove trucks for 10 years, and I went meat cutting. After that, I've been cutting meat for almost 32 years now. It's been a good job. It's been a very good job. I've raised my family, and my wife hasn't worked that much, out of the 37 years we've been married. She only worked about 10 years, 11 years. And we have 4 children, and it's been a good job. Been a very good trade. I still like it. I'm 59 years old now, and I still like to cut meat. Oh, yeah.
Conrad Spinard, our anchor person on this visit to the Saindons Market. We go back to the front of the store, and I don't know whether it's Carrie or Susan. Let's go back.
How you doing today?
Fine. Very good. Yourself?
Just fine, thanks. This is kind of fun first being in the market talking to you all. What are your names?
I'm Greg Harrington. Stephen Fredette.
What do you think of all of this?
Well, I didn't even know the primaries were in town, except for I saw, who was it? Mondale was in town the other day, and I saw all the police around for him.
Yeah, a lot of action in Manchester this time of the election, and because of New Hampshire being the first to vote. Oh, they're all here. This is the time to be here.
Is it fun for you?
It's not, yeah, really. I don't notice a whole big difference.
A lot of action around the city now, important people here. Things like that.
I'm excited to see who wins the primaries here, because isn't that how it usually works? Whoever wins New Hampshire gets into the office.
Well, that's what they say.
The last few years, at least.
We want Reagan.
Reagan Bush.
Why do you want Reagan Bush?
If they're doing good now, I'd like to see it continue the way it's been going. he's doing a good job.
And you?
I'm not really sure who I want. I haven't looked into the candidates, so I couldn't really say.
Have you stopped by at any of the rallies?
No, not very political myself.
How old are you?
23?
22.
Do you ever vote?
Haven't yet.
Yeah, I'm a registered voter.
Which party?
I'm a Democrat.
You're a Democrat and you're going to vote for President Reagan?
Yes, I am.
You're going to write in his name?
Yes, I will.
Why are you going to do that?
Well, last time I voted, Reagan was running, and I was a Republican, and I wanted to switch my party. So now that I'm a Democrat, I still want Reagan, and I hope he wins.
How come you don't vote?
Because I don't keep up on the politicians enough. It would be an unfair vote if I voted because I don't know what they're all standing for. If I did, I would vote, but I haven't kept up on it, so that's why.
How about your friends? What do they do?
I'm not really sure. I don't think a whole lot of them are voting right now.
Yours?
Likewise.
But you've got the Union Leader in your hand. Do you read that paper?
Yes, once in a while. Mostly for jobs and and happenings in town, not so much for the news they put.
Yeah.
Okay. What do you do for a living?
I'm a carpenter.
I'm a plumber.
And what would you, which of the candidates really, though, of the Democratic Party is exciting?
I don't know.
See, I don't even know who's in the Democratic Party. I like Gary Hart.
Yeah, Hart.
Why?
I don't know. He's young. He's young. I like the young part of that.
Yeah, I like the young part.
Yeah, probably get some young ideas.
Okay, thanks.
New ideas.
Thanks a lot. Take care.
Okay, thank you.
These two folks you see on your screen right now are Ernie and Terry Chabot,
C-H-A-B-O-T.
I'm sorry, C-H-A-B-O-T.
Right.
This is your hometown?
This is my hometown, right.
Born here?
Born here, lived here all my life, yeah.
If I'm an outsider, I come in and I say, tell me about your town. What's Manchester all about?
Well, Manchester is a beautiful city. I always enjoy living here. I've been in the service and always come back here because I love the city and the streets, the way the streets are laid out, and the scenery, beautiful scenery. Where I live, I can see the Uncanonic Mountains and the sunset at night, and it's very beautiful. I love it.
What do you do for a living?
I work for the U.S. Post Office.
We're here for political reasons, as you know.
Yeah.
Give us your prediction on the Tuesday primary and who you're going to vote for.
Well, actually, I'm right now. I probably will vote for Senator Glenn.
Why?
Because the other candidates, I've studied the other candidates, and I feel that Senator Glenn, in my estimation, what he has to offer is what suits me the most.
Mrs. Chabot?
Well, I think I would choose Glenn, too, although that's not what I'm going to vote for later on. Well, he seems to be more conservative and more practical. I mean, it's easy to promise the moon and the stars, but we know we can't get that.
Who later on?
Reagan.
How about your husband?
Reagan also. But
Why?
we're registered Democrats, you see. Because I figure the economy right now is, the cost of living has gone down throughout the year, and the whole year. I mean, before if you save money, you put in the bank, and the cost of living was higher than what you were getting for interest at the end of the year. So I feel that the president has done a wonderful job, but not only him, but the administration. The Republican administration has done a wonderful job as far as the economy is concerned. And around here there's plenty of work. People are working, and that's another thing, you know. And the economy has really turned around, I mean, from what it was before, the former administration, to what it is now.
How much does the whole foreign affairs thing matter to you?
Well, it's very important, but I really don't know what can be done about it. I mean, all this fighting between, like in Lebanon, I mean, there's really nothing we can do over there. they want to fight between themselves, we might as well just leave them fight between themselves.
Do you choose who you're going to support because of their domestic ideas or their foreign policy ideas?
Well, I chose Reagan because he is anti-abortion. And I think this abortion bit is not good for the country.
Do you two people always agree on everything?
Most of the time we agree on everything.
On moral matters, I think we agree.
I feel the same way as she does as far as this abortion issue. I think it's the greatest moral problem facing our country today. And the only person right now who is against abortion is the Reagan Republican candidate, our president right now. I mean, to me, that's the greatest thing, greatest problem facing our country, for one thing.
It doesn't bring blessing on our country.
No.
All right, let me ask you a question. Now, be honest with me. Are you tired of all these candidates traipsing through your city?
No, I think it's good economically for the city. I think it's brought a lot of business.
Mr. Chabot?
Yes, I feel the same way. It brings our city in the limelight throughout the country, and it helps the economy of the city also, you know. Aside from that, okay, I don't watch, I don't listen to my mind is already made up in a way, you know, who I'm going to vote for in the general election in November. Okay, right now I'm going to support Glenn, but in November I'm going to vote for Reagan.
Thank you both. All right. Hope we didn't hold you too much.
Right.
Okay, let's go back up front to Susan or Carrie.
We're out in front of Saindons Market now. Can I ask your name?
Carol Hebert.
How old are you, Carol?
I'm going to be 30.
I know what that's like. You shop here regularly at Saindons?
Yeah.
Have you lived in Manchester all your life?
Yeah.
Every 4 years, including us, all the folks come to town, and there's a big fuss for a few weeks. What do you think about it all?
Well, right now I'm kind of excited. You know, being on camera and everything, I can't wait to see, you know, how stupid I look tonight. No, but I don't know.
Do you follow the political race at all?
Yeah.
Are you registered Democrat or Republican?
I'm a Reagan, Bush, and we want 4 more years, even better than what we've had for the last 4, but I think he's the man to do it.
Are you working for the campaign?
No.
You're not at all?
No.
Do you plan to vote next week, even though there's not much other on the Republican ballot?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What do you think about the effort for the write-in? There's been a lot of talk about on the Democratic side.
Well, I don't know too much about that, except that my parents are Democrats, and I'm going to try to get them to vote for Reagan.
How did it happen with Democratic parents that you ended up being a Republican?
I don't know.
Do you talk much politics with them?
Yeah, we talk about everything that happens, whether it's good or not, and I guess, you know, the family.
Which of the candidates do they like on the Democratic side?
Well, my husband's side of the family is all Reagans, and it's just my parents, and I really haven't asked them, you know. I think they're ashamed to admit they like Reagan.
What is it about the president's administration that you like?
Well, I think he's really trying, you know, and they gave him the thing about him being old, and, you know, maybe that would interfere. But I think what he has is a lot of years of experience, and that's what he's using.
What about all the atmosphere around here? When all the politicians and the media are in town, does it get in the way, or do you like it?
I like it. I'm just nervous right now.
You're doing a fine job. In fact, I'll let you go back into your shopping. Thank you for spending some time with us.
Okay.
Can you say hi to your son? Hi.
Hi.
What's your name?
Dennis.
Dennis, have you ever been on television before? What do you think? Is it scary? Can I see your baseball hat? You told me it wasn't a baseball hat, but who's it for?
For me.
Does your dad work here? At this place?
Yes.
Huh. Thanks a lot for spending some time. You can go shopping with your mom. Bye, Dennis. Thank you very much.
Okay, yeah, bye. His older brother.
Lucille Bouvert. Spell that.
B-O-I-S-V-E-R-T.
That's French?
It sure is.
Is there anyone that lives in this area where we are, I think it's Ward 11, that's not French?
Yes, we do have quite a few. I mean, we have some German people. We do have Irish people. I think it's a mixture, but it's, you know, most of them are Canadian, French people.
One of the criticisms about the primary here that's leveled by some in the media and some politicians is that this city is not representative of the population at large because there's a fairly low minority population here. Do you think that has any impact?
I don't think so, really. I mean, I think we're all well represented.
You went to the debate the other night?
I sure did.
How'd you get to go?
Well, I'm vice chairman of the City Democratic Committee.
The City Democratic Committee?
Mm-hmm.
Is that right? Explain the Democratic Committee. What are you responsible for running the whole party for the city?
Yes, we are. Mm-hmm.
How'd you get to be vice chairman?
I was elected.
When?
Back in December.
Why are you in politics?
I've been involved in politics for 35 years, and I think more people should be involved in politics because then they have a say and they realize how it works. So many people don't know how it works. And if they took an interest in it, they'd have a say, and I think they could change things.
Have you met all the candidates?
Yes, I have. Mm-hmm.
All right, most of them you probably met on television before you met in person years ago.
Right.
Did you change your opinion of any of them after you met them in person?
No, not really.
Who are you going for?
Do I have to commit myself?
Absolutely not. Yes.
I favor John Glenn.
Why?
Because I think he's capable of handling the job, and where he was in military, I think right now the important issue is our Marines over in Lebanon, and I think he's very much aware of, you know, how to handle or what's necessary for, you know, military-wise.
We've had a number of people come through this morning who say they are Democrats and that they're going to vote in the Democratic primary, but in November they're going to pull the lever for Mr. Reagan. What do you say to them?
I say that's their privilege.
But what do you think of the idea?
You know, I'm a good Democrat, but I believe also in the man. And if they're convinced that Reagan, that's their prerogative. But of course, I'll stick with the Democrats.
What about this primary? You've been through a number, I assume, before.
Right.
How does this compare with others? Is there enough excitement for you, or
I think there's the most excitement I've ever seen, and I think it's great for our city and our state.
All right, how about this debate the other night? Who won it?
Gary Hart.
Why?
I don't know, he just came over strong in his ideas, and I felt that he was more relaxed, and I don't know, he just got to the people, I believe.
Do you see Gary Hart as someone who will do well in this primary?
Mm-hmm, I really do.
Do you see him doing maybe better in '88? Is this something that people are talking about?
Yes, they are.
What do they like about him?
I don't know, his honesty and his way of expressing himself.
Lucille?
Beauvais.
Beauvais. I'm having a terrible time with your first name. Thank you for coming by.
Oh, you're welcome. It was a pleasure.
Good luck in your political life.
Thank you.
Thank you. Back up front.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. You're going to vote for Senator Glenn then?
I sure am, for sure. Positive.
What do you think appeals about him around here?
I don't know. I think it's down, well, although he's an astronaut, I think it's down-to-earth thing with people. This morning he was talking Social Security, he was talking
you following some of the activities going on around town?
Sure am. I was out with Senator Glenn this morning, and we went to the EV and the Dubuque Street on the west side, and he had quite a following with him over there, the news people and the reporters and so forth. It was pretty interesting. I found it very moving, very exciting as well.
How do you think he's going to do?
I think Senator Glenn's going to do well. I think he's going to do real better than expected. I think he gave himself an awful lot of a big boost when he was at St. A's the other night to that Donna Center. I think some of his comments were real great, and I think his background experience came off real well with some of the people. Everybody that I talked to thought that Senator Glenn came out the best of all the candidates over there.
Are you a Democrat?
Yes, I am.
Do you vote in all the elections?
I haven't missed one yet.
Oh, that's great. You're going to vote for Senator Glenn then?
I sure am, for sure, positive.
What do you think appeals about him around here?
I don't know. I think it's down, well, although he's an astronaut, I think it's down-to-earth thing with the people. This morning he was talking Social Security, he was talking housing with some of the people, he's talking to some of the little kids, and yeah, no, he seemed to fit in with everybody, you know, in this part of the city here that I was with him this morning. He seemed to be able to relate to everybody, you know, and he's not going to give you the moon, although he's been there, and on a silver platter. I think he's basically more solid, you know, than a lot of the other candidates. He's not making that many promises.
Have you been following Senator Glenn since the beginning of his political career?
Yeah, I met Senator Glenn about 2 years ago in Boston by accident at the Parker House, and ever since then he kind of appealed to me, you know, and I've been with him ever since.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Thank you.
We have Frank Zumis, right?
Right.
With us, spell that, Frank.
S-Z-U-M-I-E-S-Z.
Now, you have a hat on that says Maine on there. Now, are you from Maine?
No, I was born in Maine. I'm from New Hampshire. All my life.
You live around this area?
Yes, I do.
We've been talking politics, and no real specific questions have been asked of everyone, but we'd like to know, to start off with, if you're going to vote on Tuesday, and if you're a Democrat or Republican, and who you're going to vote for.
Sure, I'm going to vote Tuesday. I'm a Republican, and I'll vote for Reagan.
Most people in this area we understand are Democrats.
Yes. This ward mostly are all Democrats, it's true.
What do you think the difference is between Republicans and Democrats? What, if you're explaining why you're a Republican, what do you say?
I don't know. I like Republican. I don't know. I don't know any difference really between the two. I like Reagan. I vote for Reagan, and that's about it.
How old are you, and what do you do for a living?
I'm 27. I work at the post office. I also like to say Lucille Lagasse will make a good candidate for Congresswoman. That's just a little plug. A good friend of mine.
Do people in this town take politics seriously? How do they view this particular primary? Are you tired of it all?
No, not tired. I think it's real good for the state. It's great for the economy or whatever. People, as far as being tired of it, it happens. You know, every 4 years, it's going to happen every 4 years. I think everybody more or less are used to it.
If you were a Democrat and voting in the primary on Tuesday, who would you go for?
I don't like any of them. I really don't. I'm sure everybody's going to go Mondale, mainly because he is the most outspoken. They know him as far as being in office already in the White House, and everybody's, the media is going that way. They're saying that everybody's going for Mondale, so everybody's like, well, I'm going to go with Mondale. I'm going to ride the bus. But I think at the end, Reagan's going to come out. Because everybody, I think, feels the same way. There's really nothing to choose. And he's holding the country together right now, and we'll see what happens.
Thank you, Frank. Thank you. Have a good day. We are, I don't know if we have anybody ready outside or not, but stretch. Frank Zumis was our last guest, and he said he was a Republican. We're at the Saindons Market, which is in Manchester, New Hampshire, and some of you are watching this live. That will be repeated. And what we're trying to do is talk to people as they come to the market on a Saturday and find out what they're thinking about politics and find out what their opinions are on the candidates and why they're going to vote for who they're going to vote for on Tuesday. And I want to introduce to you another guest here who has been with us. Now we're going into about an hour and 5 minutes. Sir, would you come out here and turn to that camera over there and give us your name?
Jason Mathis.
Jason.
Yeah.
All right, Jason. How old are you?
9, going on 10. in January.
I understand you have a few opinions on this upcoming presidential race. Who are you going for?
Jesse Jackson.
Why?
Because he can do as much as Ronald Reagan.
Why do you think he can do as much as Ronald Reagan?
I don't know.
Why do you like him? Yeah, you obviously feel very strongly about that. When did you start liking Jesse Jackson?
Ever since he was running for president. Kept on reading on him in the newspaper, and that's why I like him.
What do you do for a living?
Go to school.
Where?
Gosler, right down the hill from this.
Do you like school?
No,
Why?
because the teachers. They're boring.
The teachers are boring.
Yeah.
Why?
Because they always give you too much work. And you never get done, and she yells at you, and you have to bring it home. It's boring.
Boring. What are you going to do today?
I don't know. I'm going to play with my friends.
You're not going to be home studying today.
Nope. I don't have any homework.
Jason, thank you for coming with us. We've got to go back up front. Good to talk to you.
Yep.
Okay.
How are you today?
Pretty good, thank you.
Good. What's your name?
Romeo Susi.
What do you think of all this?
It's quite exciting.
Do you vote?
Oh, I sure do. That's the main thing of being a citizen, is to vote, go out and vote for whoever you think it will best represent you.
And who do you think that is?
Well, at this time, I never committed myself for just anybody. However, I am proud that the President Reagan has contested that he is not God, but depends on him, and that he will not be the second Hitler to kill all our children, where they have no saying about being born or not through the abortion, and he has promised to protect that. And that's probably the strongest arm that we have today, is to stand by with God. And he has promised to bring prayer and school into our midst. And there, I think you will find the strongest power in the whole universe is God.
Do you?
Because with God, many wars have been known to have been stopped with prayers, for one thing. Even this country at one time where they had a big recession, and one big shot in Washington, congressman or whoever it was, decided that this country, this world belongs to God, and they could not find no solution to our problems. So he suggested that we go to God and pray.
Do you
It is at that time that they decided to have prayers said before any meetings in Washington, and it's still going on. But we will not permit children to learn prayer for some reason or other. I don't know if the devil is stronger than God, which I don't believe, but he is at work, that's for sure. And will not stop to have the biggest morale builder as God, where the devil is having fun trying to take over.
Okay, thank you very much. We go back inside the store. Thank you.
Emil Drouin. Spell that, sir.
D-R-O-U-I-N.
Another French name.
Right.
It's going to kill me before today's over.
Is that right? No, you're going to better get used to them around here.
That's what I've gotten that message.
Right.
Are you going to vote Tuesday?
Most likely.
Do you normally vote?
Yes.
Which party?
I'm a Democrat, actually, but I don't usually. I vote for the man I feel is best for the job. I don't stick with the Democratic Party.
What do you do for a living?
I'm a shoe worker.
A lot of shoe factories around here, right?
There used to be. There used to be. Quite a few of them are gone now. The imports have really destroyed us. What I deal with now is mostly in boots. It's molded footwear.
Do you do the actual work on the boots?
No, I just cut parts. I'm just one job in the construction of a boot.
What's the name of the company?
Preview Products.
Emil, if you go to the polls on Tuesday, right now, who are you going to vote for?
I'm not sure. I'm still hanging.
Talk about the candidates. When I mention the names, give me what first comes to mind. Walter Mondale.
The best for the Democratic Party, I would think.
John Glenn.
Coming along, got a ways to go.
Gary Hart.
Doesn't stand a chance, I don't feel.
George McGovern.
He's way back, too.
Jesse Jackson.
Not sure. He could get in popular vote or something. He could drag down a lot of votes.
Fritz Hollings.
not much chance in my opinion.
Thank you, sir. We go back up front. Susan or Kara?
Jerry is a registered Democrat. Always been one?
Yes, I have been.
You planning to vote next Tuesday?
Yes, I will.
Have you decided yet which of the candidates appeals to you?
No, not particularly. I'll make that decision when I go into the voting box.
How are you preparing yourself for it?
Well, I read a lot of newspaper articles, and I just happened to catch the end of the debate that just was the other day.
A lot of the candidates have been speaking around town in various places. Have you had the chance to go see any of them?
No, I have not, no.
What about the Manchester Union Leader? You say you're a registered Democrat, but they take some real strong stands on the other side of the issues. Do you read it regularly?
Yes, but I don't particularly care for their views on certain points because they are mostly backing the Republican people.
So what articles do you read?
What articles do I read? I read mostly, well, the things that catch my eye are usually the special happenings, special events that happen, you know, like for instance, human interest stories and so forth. I'm not really interested in their views.
But what newspapers do you read in order to get the information on the candidates for yourself?
I do read the Boston Globe on occasion and the Herald, Boston Herald American.
What do you do for a living, Jerry?
I am a janitor at West High School.
And what about the Democratic Party appeals to you? Why are you a Democrat?
Why am I a Democrat? Actually, when I first registered to vote back in 1976, I declared myself an independent, but I declared myself when I went into the voting box. So actually, I'm a declared Democrat.
I understand. The system that works here, you can vote, if you're an independent, you have to change party right before you get to the...
Right. It's when I entered the voting box, they
register you at that point.
Right.
Okay. Who'd you vote for in 80?
Who did I vote for in 80? I voted for Mr. Anderson.
Were you disappointed by the outcome that he had?
Well, not particularly, because that was sort of like a protest vote, because I feel that I considered Reagan's age at that time, and I didn't think Mr. Carter was qualified to do the job, so. And plus, I didn't consider him well known enough to trust him.
May I ask your age?
I'm 26.
Most of your friends active in politics?
Well, not really, no.
So do you ever talk about politics or the candidates with them?
No, I don't. No, not particularly. Mostly I talk about the main concerns of work and certain things, any activities that I happen to.
How's the economy around here?
Well, I think the state of the economy is pretty good, considering the fact that food prices are a little steep sometimes. You know, especially the meat prices, I think, can be dropped a little bit, you know.
You shop regularly here at Saindons?
Once in a while. Just to stop in and get a snack or something.
You live right in this neighborhood, right around here?
I live on the west side itself, this side of the city, but I live about 10 blocks away from here.
What brings you down here today?
Oh, just curiosity.
Okay, you knew we were going to be down here.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks a lot for sharing some of your views with us. Jerry, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Our next guest is Irene Broussard, or do you use a D in French? I mean, do you say Broussard or Broussard?
Broussard. With D, Broussard.
You don't know this, but I'm having a terrible time speaking the French names, and I apologize to the French people, but I didn't study French.
I am no French either.
That's even better. You married someone who was French. Where are you from?
Spain.
Ah, okay. I can talk Spanish. I mean,
Is that right?
Very poorly. Don't try me.
No.
I just studied it, and I won't tell you how badly I did. There's a little tiny person behind you. What is his name?
His name is Paul. He's my son.
Paul, how are you today?
Good.
I guess I didn't understand that. Does he speak Spanish and French?
No, he only speaks English. Yes, bad English.
Where are you from in Spain?
Can I explain a little bit this? My father's American and my mother's Spanish. So I born in Spain, and I met my husband, and that time he was in the service, and I married with him, so we come
Where?
here. In Torrejon, that is in Madrid, the basis.
Yeah, Torrejon.
Yeah, Torrejon.
Okay, good. Well, now that we have that, why are you here in Manchester? Where do you live here?
Oh, I live in 146 Cottage Street.
No, why?
Oh, why I live in here? I live in here because all my husband's family, they live here for so many years. So my husband, he worked in the fire department and all his families, and that's where he got a job, so.
Are you an American citizen?
Yeah.
Are you going to vote on Tuesday?
Yeah.
Which party? Democrat or Republican?
Well, I like Reagan. You know, I like.
Why?
I think he looked to me, he do, you know, the best for this country, and I like him, and I think he do his best.
What do you think of politicians?
Boy, that's a hard question. Everybody trying to do his best, you know, for this country, so I think that's what they're trying to do, best for this country.
How old are you?
I am 21.
And do you work?
Yeah.
What do you do for a living?
I work in it, you know, we make wires and Telbus, I believe is the name, and I work over there, and I am very happy.
Irene and Paul, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Back to Kerry.
Sir, I see you have a Cranston button on. Are you a Senator Cranston fan?
Yes, I'm State Senator Herb Bueller from New Jersey. So I traveled 500 miles, and I've been here as a volunteer, unpaid volunteer, campaigning in Maine and New Hampshire. And my particular contribution to this campaign right now is to organize a veterans rally that'll be held at 3 o'clock this afternoon at the Union Leader. And following that, we're going to take all the veterans and their friends over to the Alpine Club from 4 o'clock until 6 o'clock. And we're hoping for a big turnout from Massachusetts, Maine, and New Hampshire. But this is, as you know, Senator Cranston's main issue, in contrast to the other 7 candidates, is the fact that he has made the peace issue and jobs his top priority as a presidential candidate. So that took me away from my wife and my 5 kids to come up here and do my thing. And I'm with the man, and I hope he moves up into second spot on Tuesday in the New Hampshire primary.
How do you think the senator does on veterans and peace issues?
Yeah, I think he's doing very well. I mean, as far as he's done more for the vets than any of the candidates that we have. He's got, you know, I know once he gets elected, those MIAs are coming home, and that's what this is all about.
Tell us your name.
Michael Gosselin.
Have you been following the senator for a while?
Yeah, I have, yeah.
What do you do for a living?
I'm a carpenter.
Are you working on the rally with him?
Yep, I am. I'm right in there with him, and me and Herb, and we're just hoping for a really grand turnout.
How is Senator Cranston going to do around here?
He's going to do extremely well in Manchester. I've seen all of these volunteers pouring in from Massachusetts, all over New Hampshire. I think that if the organization is as well put together in the outlying areas out of Manchester, he could pull a big surprise and beat McGovern, Hart, and Glenn on Tuesday. I think he's got 2 big things going for him. The volunteers that are not being paid a dime are part of the freeze movement that is so popular here in New Hampshire, as you know. They've had 2 resolutions on the ballot concerning nuclear. And in addition to that, if the veterans hold together, and we know that they are aware of the record of Senator Cranston. He was former chairman of the Veteran Affairs Committee in the Senate. His leadership is heads and shoulders over the other senatorial candidates, and that includes former Vice President Mondale. So we're looking for a big surprise in New Hampshire. It has to happen here.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Have a very good day.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thanks for the interview.
No, you're welcome.
Lester Hooper, where are you from?
Manchester, New Hampshire.
Are you a native?
Yes.
What's it like to be a Manchester, New Hampshire native?
Well, I imagine it would feel just the same way as anywhere else. Everyone comes from somewhere different like that. No 2 people the same. That's what makes life interesting.
Are you politically oriented?
Well, yes and no. I go just by one day at a time. Like, I don't vote for the party. I vote for the man. I'm Democrat.
Who are you going to vote for on Tuesday?
Well, I'll tip you right off now. Well, there'll be a lot of scrambling around Tuesday, and of course, nobody will really know until they wake up Wednesday morning. I'll be voting for the man from the big mountain country. You ever hear that before?
Mr. Hart?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Why?
No, I like him because of one indication of what he did when they had this debate up there in St. Anselm's College up there in Goffstown. He was the only one that pinpointed Mr. Mondale. In other words, back in '79, the Iranian hostage set up there. You see, he was the only one really to get up out of the whole 8 candidates and said, well, between him and former President Carter, where they had that helicopter mishap there, see? In other words, that's one thing he tried to backtrack from, but Mr. Hart caught him right there in the spur of the moment.
You pay a lot of attention to politics. I get a feeling that you've been watching some of the things we've been doing since we've been here in Manchester.
Oh, you really got a crackerjack outfit. I mean, it's very good. I mean, all due respect to the other networks, I don't know, you just sort of pick one out and just follow it right along like that.
Have you learned anything in this political season? I mean, have you changed your mind? That debate seemed to have made an impression on you.
Well, it's nothing like seeing them right in the pink. Shaking hands like that and so forth, looking them right in the eye. See what they believe one way or the other like that, see? In other words, a lot of people feel, well, the consensus of it is they promise you so much, and then they're gone, you don't see them anymore. You just kind of wonder how much they back up in the media, newspaper, on television, or after what they really go through after like that, see?
What do you do for a living?
No, I'm retired.
What did you do?
No, I was security at a hospital here in Manchester, Elliott Hospital.
All right, we've been looking a lot at the Manchester Union Leader, which is a fairly well-known and controversial newspaper around the country over the years. Do you like the paper, and do you think it's biased?
Well, one way or the other, I think it's biased a little bit. But of course, everybody's got a mind of their own. They can sort of give you one outlook, but you got to really make up your own mind like that, see? No, one thing I like about the Union Leader is big or small, they treat them all the same. From the president on down to the lowliest one that earns a living like that, see?
Have you met any of the candidates?
No, we didn't. No, not so far.
Because we keep reading before we got here that everybody in New Hampshire can meet the candidates if they want to shake hands with them and talk to them. Is it that easy here?
Well, it all depends where you go to meet them, like that, see? No, I wouldn't mind meeting a few because I bumped into a few before, way back in '76 to see some former President Ford. He was here, not in Manchester, but in Bedford over there. He went to church there one morning like that. And no, he was good. I just shook hands with him like that and so forth. Probably maybe just him saying to me, just another passing face in the crowd. I just hope that when he gets in the polling booth, he can mark me off like that.
Lester Hooper, we thank you, and we continue our coverage at the Saindons Market here in Manchester, New Hampshire with Kerry Collins.
Tell us your name, sir.
Albert Gianet.
And are you from this area?
Yes, all my life. Yep.
What do you think about all of this?
Very exciting, very exciting. I love it.
Do you vote yourself?
Yes, I do.
Who do you think you're going to vote for this time around?
Mondale.
Why?
I love him. I used to like him. I liked him when I voted for Carter. Very good man. I love Carter. I voted for him last election. He lost. I think he can do a good job, yes. I like Mondale.
Are you a Democrat?
Yes, I am.
This is primarily a conservative area around here. How are the Democrats?
Over here, this, like New Hampshire, this city of Manchester, all my life members used to be primarily Democratic. The state itself is Republican. If you go back the last 4 elections, you'll see it always voted Republican. But I would say more or less it's a Republican state. As far as myself, I'm Democrat. Maybe I was brought up that way when I was a kid. They used to always say Democrat was for the poor, Republican was for the rich. But I read a lot. Not only one paper. I don't read the Union Leader because it's too much of a biased paper. If you read that paper, it drives one idea in your head, see? And people have no idea of another opinion. Like I read the Herald, the Globe. Other opinions, I don't like what Reagan's doing, Social Security. I got to wait now. By the time I reach 65 and 43, I have to wait 68 years old to retire. I don't like what it does to the poor. You know, you can interview us. Some of us, we're young, we can work. Our wife works. Other people now are poor, you know. A lot of things like that. Beirut, the way they died for nothing, no. Don't like that too much.
What do you like best about Walter Mondale?
I don't know, I think he's for the people. I really believe this, you know. See, a politician just like a salesman. Like, they'll come in, they're trying to sell themselves to you. Reagan, he sold for 4 years, and the same thing. They gave promises, and you hope, you read, you pray, and that's why you determine your vote.
What do you think then, since Walter Mondale is the front runner, what do you think about President Reagan's campaign effort, write-in campaign effort?
You mean people writing in?
Yeah.
I think it will be a lot, because some people do tend to stay with him. It's going to be to me, it's going to be a good race. I don't say Reagan's going to win it hands down. No way.
Do you think he'll be second place?
I hope so. I want Mondale all the way. I'm a Democrat, yeah.
How about some of the others? Do they have a chance here?
Well, like you say, like Glenn, I remember him as, I remember New Orbit, the Earth. That's all, really, you know. Some of these like Cranston, I never heard of them, you know. You go in their state, you know them. They just appear when it comes time, you know, for presidential election. Then maybe 4 years from now, you know more about them, you know what I mean? Because we know more within our state, you know. Like Mondale, he's been a figure for the last, 6 years, more than that. Vice president in the last 4 years, so he's more well-known, yes.
You've been following what Jesse Jackson's been doing here?
Oh, yes. I didn't know too much about it. I knew he was a minister, but since he got Goodman out, you know, he made everybody knows him. He made the headlines all over the United States, so he's a prominent figure. But besides, I don't know too much about him, really, to say that. No, not.
If you could give Walter Mondale a piece of advice, what would you say to him?
Just do what he's doing. It's good enough for me. Just do what he's doing. But the most important thing is, we can talk. People should vote, though. That's the thing. This is what it's all about, you know. We could sit here and argue, but you should exercise your vote and vote.
Do you try and get your friends to go out and vote?
Not really. I'm a truck driver. I don't see too many people. But we talk. We do discuss. But whether they vote, I don't know. I'll always say, are you voting? You know, they say yes. You don't know, you know. That's the most important. This is what this is all about. You should vote.
Why do you think it is that a lot of people don't vote?
I don't know whether they're informed or just don't care, probably, you know. Discouraged. Maybe they don't believe in anybody. They probably say, well, they're all telling us a story which is not, you know, true.
Okay. Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Okay.
You know, we got this idea to come over here yesterday, and we rode around the neighborhood trying to find a place that would be, first of all, hospitable and let us in with our cameras, and secondly, that would be somewhat reflective of what the primary would be like on Tuesday. You can't possibly have the exact place to go, but it was funny. I got up this morning, and here in the Boston Globe, Bob Healy writes a piece, Dateline Manchester, New Hampshire, and I'll just read you the first 3 paragraphs so you can see that this is not exactly an original idea, nor is it unique. At the Hillside Market near the top of Bridge Street, you get the strong scent of a surge for Senator Gary Hart, as well as some Democratic write-in support for President Ronald Reagan. The market is in Ward 2, where Democratic and Republican voters next Tuesday will vote their first in the primary ballots at St. Paul's Church at Smith and Bruce Road. These are mostly working people coming through the doors of the small store run by Tim Condyles, who came to this country from Greece more than 20 years ago. They are auto body mechanics, nurses, construction workers. They tend to be Democrats, but a lot of them like Reagan just the same. And I think you've seen today that that's not unrepresentative of what we found here at the Saindons Market. The gentleman on my right, Conrad Spinard, you're originally from here, as you said earlier.
Yes. Oh, yes, I was born right on Cartier Street, not too far from here.
But the folks that own this are what, French or French-Canadian?
French-Canadian, yeah.
And the people that we've talked to today have...
Mostly French-Canadian people, yeah. Well, we had that little woman from Spain, yeah, but most of them you've talked to by their names, they're French-Canadian. And we have Armin Rowe right there. That's I worked for his father about 50 or maybe 50 years ago, or 35, 40 years ago. Worked my first job for him, and I was working for $4 a week and 4 packages of cigarettes. He used to pay me.
Have you stopped smoking yet?
I've stopped, yes. I've stopped New Year's. Yeah, no more smoking. Yeah.
Armin Rowe is the gentleman he's referring to on my left, and his son George, right here in the middle. How are you, George?
Good.
We talked before. Mr. Rowe lives very close here, and he came to the store earlier, and we asked him to come back and if he had time and talk some more with us about how he sees this situation coming up on Tuesday.
What would you ask? What would you want me to say as to what I see?
Which talk about the first of all. What's your party?
Unfortunately, I'm a Republican, so the outcome is rather without much doubt.
This is a heavily Democratic area here.
It's a heavily Democratic area here, yes.
How much does it reflect what the vote will be? The people we've been talking to, what the vote will be in the Democratic primary, do you think?
Well, I think that you're going to find this ward is the devoted voters are over 60 years of age, mostly. The turnout will be heavily in that age group. And I think that they are very receptive to a candidate who is interested in their particular problems. And whichever candidate appeals to them most is going to get their vote.
Who's the strongest from what you've heard people talking around the neighborhood?
Well, I'd say that I think Mondale is promising the most. I think I've spoken with some Democrats who feel that John Glenn is more electable than Mondale. And my own personal view of the whole matter is that I think that if Senator Hart were able to project a better image of himself, that he would make an excellent showing in the state, because he has a sort of a Kennedy-like charisma.
What do you do for a living?
A number of things. I'd say I was a salesman.
How long have you lived here?
52 years, across the street.
In the same place?
Well, actually, I lived in Boston for 10 years. But I'm back in my own neighborhood again. I have been for the last 20 years almost.
Did you watch the debate the other night?
I have watched one debate. I did not watch the second. I watched the Dartmouth debate. My alma mater debate I did not watch.
St. Anselm's?
Yes.
All right, as you went through this campaign, and some of the candidates have been here over a year, have you changed your opinion of any of them on the Democratic side? I know you're not going to vote Democratic, and if you did change them, what most impacted how you were thinking?
My opinion, initially, when I learned of the candidates as they developed, was that I thought Glenn would have been my Democratic choice. I'm more impressed with Senator Hart than I was, and simply because I think he could project an excellent image if he could get it across more often. I am certainly impressed with Jackson's candidacy. I thought it was a token black candidacy in its early stages. However, at this point, I think that with Lieutenant Goodman and all this sort of thing, I think that it's a viable candidacy, although I don't think he has a prayer of getting the nomination. But I'm very impressed with the fact that there's more than a tokenism here. This is a black man who has a legitimate chance of getting a nomination, and I'm sure that someday one of them will.
George, do you have an opinion on politics? Are you going to follow your father's Republican footsteps when you get older?
Well, I probably will. I read the papers every morning and, follow along with, the nominations and candidates. And I don't really have much of an opinion on it, but, well, I hope the one that wins is the best.
What do you think a good president should be? What do you like to see in your president?
Well, one that will do the most for the country, one that has good views upon the issues concerning the country at that time.
How old are you, George?
I'm 11 years old.
It'll be a little while, not too long, before you'll be a voter. Armin Rowe, thank you very much for coming back over.
Well, thank you for talking with us.
Good to talk to you, and let's go back up front. Thank you.
We're talking to we're with one of the youngest shoppers in Saindons Market and her parents. How old is your baby?
She's 16 months old.
And what's her name?
Brianna.
And what's your name?
Shelley.
And yours?
Richard.
You told me before that you're not too involved in politics. What do you think about all this then?
Not much. I don't know. I haven't really.
When all the candidates are down making speeches, do you even pay any attention?
Well, we went down and saw them the other day.
Who'd you listen to?
Well, we just saw him from across the street. We didn't know they were there. Was John Glenn. We just saw him on the street.
Are you registered with any of the parties?
No, I've never voted before.
Do you ever think about that, or as an act of not registering the way
Well, I just told my mother the other day. I said, I don't know. I don't think too much. Well, I haven't heard what the other candidates have to say, but some of Reagan's things aren't too intelligent.
Okay. How about you? Are you registered to vote?
No.
Is that a conscious act on your part? Or you just don't think about it too much?
you know, read the paper and stuff, but we don't get too emotionally involved with it, you know. We should.
What do you think about the president that we have in office right now?
Well, there's a few things I don't like what he did, but I mean, you know, he's doing all right.
So you don't think if he's doing all right that you might go to the polls and vote for him?
I don't know if I'd vote for him again, you know, but he did fair, you know. He's doing some things he did. There's a few things he did that I totally disagree with, like one thing, for instance, like it's against the constitutional rights, what they did when they passed the law about when you back support on what they did there. I feel that was totally against the constitutional rights of taking your income tax. But I'm saying it's for a good cause, but the way they did it, I don't think it was right. I think that was totally wrong. There's a few other things I think that was wrong, but you know, there's a few things he's done that is right. So you know, all is fair. He's doing all right.
What about the foreign policy? We have Marines that are in Lebanon right now. Do you think about that too much at all?
I don't think they should be over there. It's not our place to have our people killed for it.
And El Salvador? You read about El Salvador in the papers? Do the stories about that attract your attention?
Well, you know, you go through the paper. I don't think they should be there either, you know, but they're there.
Which newspapers do you read?
Union Leader.
What do you think about the Union Leader's editorial policy? We've learned a lot about it since we've been here because they have a real strong stand on issues. Do you like the way they feel about things?
The Union Leader? What they put in the paper? Yeah.
How about you? Do you read the Union Leader pretty regularly? You like their strong editorial policy?
Yeah. All right.
How long have you lived in the area?
3.5 years.
What brought you up here?
I just moved down from up north. I'm originally from up north. Okay, I went to school half a mile from the Canadian border.
You like being in the Manchester area?
I like it, but I miss the home.
I don't like it at all.
That's totally country, and this is down here, city life. It's different, but it has its ups and downs again, you know.
You don't like it because it's city life?
Yeah. Well, with her, I'd rather raise her in the country.
Oh, she's getting a little fussy, so I'll let you go. Thank you for spending some time with us.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
We have the son of the manager of this store standing next to us here, Kenny Grenier?
Yes.
If I were pronouncing that the way the French do, how would I say it?
Grenier.
You did it just as well as your father did earlier.
I hope I pronounced it the same way you did.
Don't go away here, but where did Lou go? Lou, come on over here, Lou. I mean, I want the folks to meet Lou. I know he's very shy. This is the brother of the. I guess are you part owner, Lou? No, you're not part owner. Come over here, please. We just want people to get a chance to meet one of the Saindons brothers, huh?
You won't have to say much. Go ahead.
Lou, you will. I promise you, and we'll get right back to you, Kenny, in just a second. I promise you, I will. You said to me earlier that you don't talk much. Is that right?
Right. That's right. I don't say too much.
Why?
No, I'm the quiet type.
Are you originally from Canada?
No, right here, Manchester.
Was the family originally French-Canadian?
Yes.
Now, you have not said more than 3 words since we've been in here over the last 24 hours, so I'm going to ask you the tough question. Are you going to vote on Tuesday, and who are you going to vote for?
Oh, I do vote, but as far as voting, that I keep for myself.
That's fair enough. No one ever has to tell who they voted for in this country. Why do you feel that way, that you don't want to tell other people how you vote?
No, it's not that I feel that way. I figure it's my way, and then no hard feeling if I get a friend of mine that's voting opposite of me, then he'll jump on my back because I'm not voting for his side. So this way I keep quiet and I vote my own way.
Do you think a lot about politics? You think a lot about this presidential campaign?
I don't. I just go by what I see and what I hear and try to see who's better. Then I'll decide when the time comes.
How old are you?
Me, right now, 44.
And you've been here at the market working with your brother for a long time?
About 12 years since we've been open. My father originally started it.
How many years ago?
Oh, about 12 years we've been here. He was here, I think he had it for about 10 years. My brother took it over, Norman.
I think, Conrad, that Lou's doing a great job here. I mean, for someone who doesn't talk, he's doing very well, don't you?
You got him going now.
Lou, thank you very much for letting us come in. You've been very patient. And when you stick 2 cameras in the middle of... Connie can't stop? We've asked him to do all the talking. Now, Kenny, are you going to vote on Tuesday?
Yeah, sure am.
Who for?
Reagan.
Why?
Well, I've been following him. When I first was old enough to register to vote, Reagan was running for president. I liked his ideas. He's done a lot of good for the country. Inflation's down, unemployment's down. you know, he's getting people back to work is the main thing, because I know jobs were really scarce around here for a while.
How old are you and what do you do for a living?
I'm 22 years old, and I work in accounts receivable at Preview Products on the west side here.
What does BMC stand for? Turn right to that camera there. I want them to see the BMC. I can't see it. There you go.
Belial Musicians Club.
What's that?
I coach a girls softball team on the west side. Well, it's actually, yeah, the west side of Manchester, and we've been state champs 2 years running. And that's, I'd rather do that the rest of my life than work, because I love working with the kids. You know, they're great.
How old are the girls?
How old are the girls? Well, the ones I've been coaching for the past 2 years were 9 to 12, but I'm moving up this year. I'm going to be coaching girls 13 to 15 now.
Getting a little closer to your age, aren't you?
Well, yeah. I don't see that as any problem, though. I try to get a relationship where we're just mostly more like friends than I'm the boss and you do what I say, you know, and we try to get him to do things as a friend rather than as a boss or a coach.
What do you think of politicians?
Politicians, huh? I should have known that question was coming. I don't like to generalize. I take them each on their own merits and, you know, beliefs and what they coming out and telling people. You know, I don't stereotype politicians as all this, you know, politicians are this and all politicians are that. You know, around here, I think I've been watching this on the TV this morning, and I see most of the people, even the ones who are saying they're Democrats, saying they like Reagan. And for my money, I can't see anybody on the Democratic side, whoever they nominate, I can't see coming anywhere near Reagan in the general election in November.
If you've been watching this on TV, you've seen some things that you've formed opinions on. What did you think of all the people that have come through here this morning? What do you think of the idea of us coming in here and do this? Is this, if someone's sitting out in Honolulu right now or up in Alaska, are they getting a good slice of how people in Manchester, New Hampshire live?
I think Manchester, yeah. Statewide, I wouldn't say it's the same. You know, politically, it's not the same statewide. I mean, Manchester usually goes the other way as far as the state. The state will vote one way, and Manchester's a lot of times they go the other way. You know, but I think this is a good sample of what people in Manchester are living like. You know.
From what you've heard your friends around here say, do you think they know anything about politics?
Sure. I think people in Manchester are well informed. I hear some of them mentioning the Union Leader. I myself don't think it's the greatest newspaper in the world because they are pretty one-sided. They either love you to death or they forget. They don't even bother with you at all. You know. I try to. You know, friends of mine bring the Globe and the Herald and stuff like that to work, and I read those sometimes, just to get a different slice, just a different opinion, you know, because the Union Leader is really one-sided.
Kenny Grenier.
Yeah.
Grenier?
Well, friend, you're close enough.
Butchering it to death.
I know.
Thank you for talking to us.
Okay, thank you.
We'll go back up front. Who's standing by, Brian? Carrie.
Mike Hawley, are you going to vote in the New Hampshire primary?
Yes, I am.
Who are you going to vote for?
I'm going to vote for Gary Hart.
Why Gary Hart?
To get the two best men going. Because I think Ronald Reagan and Gary Hart are the two best men in the bunch.
What do you like about Gary Hart?
He's composed. All the other candidates, flamboyant or seem to be emotional. And Gary Hart just very composed, talks well. And I think he's the best guy out of the bunch as for the Democrats.
Do you think because of that he'd be good under pressure as the president?
He certainly gives that impression. In the debates, some of the debates that I've seen, he seemed relaxed and able to handle himself real well.
Are you from this area?
Yeah, I'm from Manchester. Grew up here on the west side.
And what do you do for a living?
I work. No, I have a small grocery store. I work in a grocery store.
Like this one?
Very similar.
Do you talk politics in your store?
All the time. The last few weeks, that's all we've been doing. We've been cutting everybody down.
Mm-hmm. Why?
Because we don't like them. There isn't, none of them make a whole lot of sense. And like I said, Gary Hart, when he does speak, he's very composed, not emotional, and he talks well. Just, I think something the country could use.
How do most people around here view politicians?
Probably the same way everybody else does, with a little skepticism. That's how I do.
What does Senator Gary Hart appeal to young people, do you think?
I think that might be a factor. Ronald Reagan's getting there. Alan Cranston's there. I think his youth probably has a little bit to do with it. We can relate to him a little bit better. And I'm part of the baby boom generation, so that's a factor.
Okay, thank you, Mike Holly. Good luck with your store.
Thanks.
Okay.
Connie, it says up here pork pies are $3.39. First of all, this is really going to show my ignorance. What's a pork pie?
Pork pie is one of the Canadian style that used to make years ago, and it's strictly pork and the spices, and it's a very good seller around here. We go through about 3,000 a year. When the father comes up in May, he makes about 3,000 pork pie, and I think we have a gentleman here that's going to buy 20 of them next Tuesday. It's very good seller. Yeah.
You know, the owner of this store, Norman Saindons, has not shown his face for the last hour and 15 minutes, and we have a suspicion that he's not coming back. What is the reason for this?
I think he's probably shy. You know, he doesn't want to be on camera, and he's probably shy, and he doesn't want to talk. You know, he's afraid.
He does not appear to me to be a shy man.
Well, yeah, he probably is, you know, but he's just afraid, probably, you know. Just don't want to be on camera.
I understand he's going to Florida tomorrow, so he's probably home packing.
He's going to go visit his father, and if his father's watching...
Hour and 50 minutes or so. Does this neighborhood reflect the type of neighborhood that we should be in to learn what people are going to do on Tuesday in the Democratic primary?
Well, I think that you're in an area of the city where there are a lot of French people, French Canadian people, who are by and large registered as Democrats. So I think that you are, in fact, in the right area to find out what their feelings are. I don't know what they are, but...
What are yours? Are you a Democrat or Republican?
I'm a registered Democrat. And it's very confusing right now as to who is going to be the winner of this primary, at least in my own mind. I don't know that the way things are going, that Mr. Mondale is going to do as well as he thinks he's going to do. I may be wrong, but that's the impression I'm getting. I think Mr. Glenn has done very well, and especially in the debate that they had, and I think that's going to affect a lot of the voters.
Who are you going for?
I am not quite sure yet, but I'm leaning for Mr. Glenn.
Why?
Because I think that he's probably the only candidate that can beat Ronald Reagan.
And why do you want to beat Ronald
Reagan? Because I don't know that he's that responsive to the small working man, the small businesses. I think that he pretty much deals with his interests as far as big business is concerned. That's basically all.
Richard, right behind us, the owner of this store walked in, and he's huh? Norman, you're not shy.
No, I'm here.
We've only got 9 minutes left. I thought
I came a few minutes before closing.
Have you had a chance to? Have you been watching this at home?
Yes, I have. Yeah.
What do you think of your customers?
They're very nice, my customers.
You're very nice to have us here, and I know, you know, with the camera sitting over here in the aisle, everybody's been extremely pleasant. I hope we haven't disrupted.
No, not that I know.
Talk about this, your business here. Why have you been here for so long? In this place?
It's a good location. We were down We were down the bottom of the hill there for quite a while, then we had to close when Urban Renewal took it over, and then we finally got this spot over here, and we built here, and we're happy with it. And we've been here 14 years, not 12.
Who said 14? Lou said it wrong. Well, Lou, is he your...
70, wait a minute, what is it, 70, 1970.
Is Lou your older or younger brother?
Older. He's a year older than me.
All right, now this store has been in your family for how many years?
14 years.
I mean, this business, how many years?
Oh, geez, I can't say. I mean, 40 years. At least, we had one down the bottom of the hill. It was on the bottom of the hill for a good 30 years before, but they're more than that, Connie. Yeah, over 40 years anyways.
Okay, now
yeah. The idea we had to close down there, and then, you know, we waited 5 years to find a good spot, and we found one here, and, you know, we're happy with it.
All right, when I came in here yesterday to ask you whether or not you'd allow us to come in here, you had some very strong things to say about politicians and...
Not really. Oh, no.
No?
All I said was I'm Reagan all the way.
You're Reagan all the way?
Right.
Why?
Because I think he's doing a good job, and, you know, I just like the guy. I think he's doing terrific.
Now, we've learned here that there are people that are supporting Mr. Mondale, Mr. Glenn, Mr. Hart. Those are the three that they mention most of the time. Do you ever talk politics at the cash register up there?
Well, sometimes, but not that much. I mean, you know, depends what's in the paper. You know, whatever it says in the paper, then, you know, I'll say to Ray, hey, you see this over here? You know, that's crazy, or things like that. Not very much. As far as the Democratic politicians, I don't even follow them.
Do you consider yourself a Republican?
Yeah, that's what I am.
Now, your brother wouldn't tell us what he is or who he voted for.
That's his business, whatever he is. I mean, you know, I'm Republican.
Would you suggest that the two of you then is there a lot of difference between the two of you? That way you get along so well here?
Yeah, there's difference. No, we get along. No, there is.
All right, now we've spent a whole day at the Manchester Union Leader. We've talked to a lot of your state people are elected on a statewide basis, and a lot of the federal officials, like Senator Humphrey was on the call-in show this morning. Describe for us whether or not you think there's a difference between the New Hampshire politician and those that you've met from or heard from around the country. Are they different? Are people different in New Hampshire?
You got me on that one. Like I says, I don't follow that much, you know. All I know, I like Reagan. I think he's doing a terrific job, and I'm satisfied with him, and that's it. See, I don't care what the others, they do. That's all.
What about business? Is business good now?
It's a little bit quiet right now around this time of the season, you know, and it's the end of the month, and people are waiting for their checks to come in next week, and then it picks up again. But it's the quiet season right after the holidays. But I'm not complaining, though.
Now, there's a rumor has it that you were home packing, that you're going somewhere tomorrow. Where are you going tomorrow?
Florida.
Why?
For vacation.
Now, we also heard a rumor that even though it was 60 degrees in this town yesterday and the day before, and the sun did shine the first day that I was here, a beautiful day, that the snows are coming back and the rain's coming back this afternoon. Does the rain or snow usually have any impact at all on voters when they go to the primary in February?
Yes, I think it does. Yeah, it does. It has.
Does it? Do people turn out here?
There's less that turns around, huh, Connie? When there's less people. The old people will not go down the hill, you know, when it's raining hard or snowing. You know, it's not the idea they don't want to go out. It's just the idea, you know, it's too slippery for them or something like that, so they won't go. But if it's a nice day, though, there'll be a big turnout, I think. Yeah.
Okay. Now, what? I don't know whether we have anybody else standing by. I think we're just about out of time. We've spent.
That's why I came in late.
So we couldn't bug you the whole time.
That's right.
The Saindon name is spelled S-A-I-N-D-O-N. Is that correct? And that's French-Canadian.
Right.
Tell us about your family. You married? You have children?
No, I'm not married. Well, I was. I've got a daughter, Joyce, 9 years old, and, you know, we're going. She's coming with me. That's why I'm going to Florida in a way, you know. She loves the sun. So.
All right, we're going to wrap this up, and we only have a couple of minutes, so I want to ask both of you, as a way to close out this program, what you want out of your politicians. I mean, just look that camera in the eye right there, and Conrad Spinard and also Norman Saindon, and tell the rest of the people what you want your politicians to do for you in this country, and we'll just say goodbye to our audience, and let's let Connie. Connie's been with us for this whole. Connie,
for me, I think Reagan Reagan, if he can get us out of this mess that we're in with the deficit we have and all the trouble in the country, and to give him another 4 years. And if he can run for another 4 years, I think he can straighten out the mess we're in. But you got to give him a chance. But Reagan, to me, Reagan is doing a good job, and for another 4 years, we should be out of this mess we're in right now.
To Conrad Spinard and Norm and Lou Saindons, and to Ray Grenier, thank you very much for having us here. We've had an enjoyable morning, and we hope that you've learned something about the people of Manchester, New Hampshire. We don't at all consider this to be a scientific sample, just a chance to hear from the people instead of from the politicians or the media. And to wrap things up, let's go outside the Saindons Market to, I believe, is Carrie there? Carrie's not there yet. I was told that we were supposed to stretch.
Well,
Carrie,
thank you for coming over here.
Yeah, thank you very much, Brian.
You've both been, all of you have been terribly hospitable, and it's been fun to learn about things like pork pies and
Gartons too. Garton.
Yeah. My French has not improved at all in the last 2 hours.
Don't forget to buy a few before you leave. You know, you can take them. They're frozen.
They're frozen?
Yeah. You can take a few with you before you leave.
How long will they last?
Oh, they'll stay. You put them in the car, or put them in the trunk. They'll stay cold.
If somebody wants to write and order one, have it shipped to them, where would they write?
Right over here.
Saindons Market.
Yeah, that's the place where we make them.
Dubuque and
Putnam.
Putnam Street,
yeah.
Manchester.
Or you can care of Henry Saindons in Florida if he's listening.
All right. I hope we're finished now because I haven't got anything more to say. We'll see you later.
Muskeg Bank, and our studios have been on the 9th floor there. We've been talking to politicians and locally and nationally as well. And we decided the other day it'd be a great idea to come up the street, it's about 2 miles from there, and talk to some of the people around Manchester to find out what they had to say about the primaries, who they're going to vote for, why they're voting, and that's exactly what we did. So we came up to Saindons Market here, and that's where we've been for the last 2 hours, talking to Norm Saindons, the owner. We have a lot to thank him for, and all the people that came in. It's been a lot of fun for us, and we certainly hope we can do this again. It's a good idea to get a taste of the area, and that's exactly what we've done. So